All right, I'm behind the scenes here at the Jimmy Arrington Rodeo. I'm with Champ Crocker. Champ, you've got a friend. You're going to introduce him, don't you?
I've got a lifelong friend of mine here, Mr. Norman Spencer Hale, someone I've known a long time. He's an American hero, and he's here tonight because Sheriff Gentry is honoring veterans here at the Sheriff's Rodeo. And Mr. Hale, who was a POW for nearly 33 months in Korea, in one of the coldest, worst places on earth, he was there, and he came back to tell the story, and he speaks all over the state and has done so for a long time. He's got a very moving story, and he's an American hero, and we are lucky for his service and people like him, and it's just a pleasure to see Mr. Hale tonight.
Mr. Hale, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you.
You were out in the middle of the dirt, in the middle of the arena out there. What was that like?
Well, humbling. It was humbling. You know, I'm not worthy of the applause that I got.
Well, I don't know. I've heard a number of stories tonight about you. You went to Korea, didn't get ranked until it was over, spent time as a prisoner of war. Tell us a little bit about your military history.
Well, I was there in 1950. November of 1950, we was in battle. We was on the front line. When we thought the war was over, as far as Korea, and it was over, North Korea. But all of a sudden, one night we was dug in on the front line, and they cried out, "Retreat, retreat. We don't know what's happened." And we retreated, and come to find out there was about 250,000 Chinese had come into the war and surrounded us. And they were fighting for North Korea. And I went to the highest mountain, which those mountains are very, very high. And I stayed up there from them for 3 days and nights. And I almost starved for water. And I don't think I'd have made it another night if I hadn't got some water. And no food for 7 or 8 days. And after the 3 days, I met up with another fella, and we went off of that mountain. And I looked down the barrel of a 50 caliber machine gun, and they was fixing to shoot me and this other boy too. But yet, we showed them we had no weapons. We threw the weapons away so they couldn't find them. And so they come and got us. And one of them that talked English, he said, if you had been captured 3 days ago, you would have been shot. So I stayed away, and God had a hand in that, staying away from the enemy for 3 days and nights. Because if it had not been for prayer, I would have probably been killed there. And then they put us in foxholes for the rest of the day, separated us completely. I never have seen this other boy at all. And then they took me to a mud house that night, and they gave us something that tastes like gourds. It made you vomit if you eat it. And they said, we're going to have a march, and we're going to start. So they parched some corn, and we had to put the corn in our pocket, and we went on a what we call a death march. It took us from December the 1st of 1951 till February to reach Camp 5, which was 200 miles away.
This is wintertime, Spencer.
50 below zero, and the wind chill was colder than that. And I saw many, many men froze to death starved to death. And some of them froze all over. Many, many men died on that march. But after we hit the camp, we still didn't have anything but cracked corn to eat, and it boiled up. So they made me, as one person, boil up that corn for the rest of the winter. No baths, didn't shave. On our march, the weather would get so cold and so deep with snow we couldn't travel. That's why it took us so long to get there. Then we'd go into the villages, and this one boy where we stopped off, he was a big fella. He was washing his foot in cold water and bent his toe and it come off in his hand. His feet was froze. And I saw many, many frozen feet. Many lost their feet completely. Some lost their toes. Some even their part of their leg. But after we reached our camp, the first winter, over 1,800 young men died from starvation and freezing to death. And from that we had to take socialism and communism schooling. So I know about communism and socialism. You don't want either one of them. Through that turmoil that we went through, I think God was one that brought me back, because I don't know any of them that was captured with me that's still living. The story could go on, but you know, I believe I hit the highlights of what it was.
You did. Now, that's the story. You're still here. You're telling this message all over the place. I guess that was why you were let to come on through, huh?
Yeah, to go through the highlights of all that we went through, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to tell. When I go to churches, they give me the hour that the preacher is supposed to be preaching, and they give me that hour to talk. So this year alone, I've spoke at 3 different places, 2 churches and the VFW. And at 3 other places I've attended and done the flags, American flags and the POW flag. And I'm thanking God that He's given me help that I've got today to go through with what we did. They took my tonsils out while I was over there, and I held the pan for the blood to go in. And after I got through, I walked a quarter of a mile up a hill and into where they kept me in a mud house for a week.
It's a heck of a story. Private First Class Spencer Hale, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
It's a cliche, but we appreciate your service, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
An inspiration.